Drake was expected to make another winning lap that evening. One more reminder that he remains the most well-known figure in the game. Rather, Kendrick Lamar came in, cleaned up, and left the entire industry with 10 MTV Awards. The audience stood up, stunned, and Drake's supposedly indestructible crown appeared to have simply rolled across the floor. The manner in which Kendrick accomplished it was more important than the wins alone. Drake was supposed to be the best in every category. Instead, Kendrick's name was called. All of the fans vote for Kendrick. Kendrick is chosen by every critic, even the section on lifelong impact. Typically, a space set aside for Kendrick was one of the performers with 30 years of experience in the field. Not only that, but Kendrick's acceptance speeches went beyond simple expressions of gratitude. The shots were obscured. People draw clear distinctions between authenticity and algorithms, allowing the music to flow and gaining your place rather than promoting it. The cameras repeatedly panned in on Drake, who was stoic and hardly clapping. By the end of the evening, Kendrick was being hailed as the new king on Twitter, not just for his victories. How, therefore, did one award ceremony change the power dynamics? What is causing Drake's closest supporters to remain silent today? Hold on tight. This wasn't merely an honor sweep. They were coronated. Tension was already present before the cameras began to roll, before Drake's crown began to fall, and before Kendrick's 10 trophies piled into hip-hop history. This was no ordinary award ceremony. Months had gone into creating a battlefield. One of Drake's best platforms for years has been the MTV Awards. MTV and Drake had a quiet, mutually beneficial rhythm year after year. Whether it was the back-to-back victories for Best Hip Hop, the unexpected tribute to Rihanna, or the viral Hotline Bling dance moment, the ratings were boosted by Drake. He received the prizes from MTV. However, before the first nominee was revealed this year, that routine was broken. Whispers within. For months, the industry had been growing. For the awards season, Kendrick Lamar was loading something huge. Following Mr. Morale and the Big Stepper's worldwide popularity and the cultural fallout from his lyrical conflicts earlier in the year, Kendrick's name wasn't simply mentioned. It was taking center stage. He was now publicly referred to as the most significant rapper alive by critics, fans, and even musicians who had previously avoided taking sides. Drake, meanwhile, had to contend with turbulence. There were obvious rifts in his ties as a result of his prolonged Cold War with Kendrick. A PR catastrophe had resulted from Waka Flocka's onstage stunt while playing Kendrick's disc. He was unfollowed by Rihanna. 40, a longtime producer, has completely stopped using social media. Furthermore, according to several sources, MTV producers were subtly changing their prejudice. In addition to the fact that MTV allegedly gave Kendrick the closing performance slot, a prime-time position, one anonymous staffer told a hip-hop plug, "Look, nobody's going to say it out loud, but Drake's aura isn't the same right now. Kendrick's got momentum, and this year's show is all about momentum." At one point, Drake had thought of his. Suddenly, it became evident that this evening would be unique. The intensity increased in the weeks before the performance. In categories that Drake had dominated for years, fan surveys began to tilt in favor of Kendrick. It was repeatedly referred to as Kendrick's year in the press coverage of the candidates. Then the last blow was delivered. MTV declared that a surprise would be given to Kendrick. A hip-hop artist in their prime has never before received the Global Impact Award. You could sense the division in the room by the time the show day came. Two camps were described by backstage sources. The OVO table remained silent and stayed in their area, like they knew history was going to be made. The PG Long camp was giggling and dancing. Drake arrived indoors, wearing sunglasses, a slick black suit, and his trademark confidence. But anyone watching could see that it was a bit too controlled. Just courteous smiles and succinct responses, no lighthearted interviews or loose jokes. Conversely, Kendrick moved like the star of the show, wearing a bright white jacket. Conversation with nominees from other genres, shaking hands with stage personnel, and calm vibe. Billie Eilish, Harry Styles, and Dua Lipa, among other non-hip-hop performers, were seen praising him before the commencement of the concert. Then came the first indication that the society was going to be completely upended by the night. Kendrick's song with SCA won the opening award for Best Collaboration, a category Drake had won 4 times in the previous 10 years. Drake is shown on camera. He clapped and grinned, yet he remained still. The audience took notice. Twitter took note. The mood was established. Over the course of the evening, Kendrick's name was called often. Artist of the Year, Best Lyricist, and Best Hip-Hop Video. The cheers grew louder each time. Each time Drake's claps became less frequent. The camera cut straight to the OVO table after Kendrick's 5th award of the evening was presented, and it captured one of Drake's colleagues whispering to him something. That sounded a lot like, "They're not stopping." They weren't. The stadium was chanting Kendrick's name by the time he had won 10 trophies. MTV gave him more than just the categories Drake had held. Every significant distinction of the evening was bestowed upon him. The silent message was very evident. Kendrick was assuming the throne, not simply garnering accolades. Additionally, as the crowd was having a good time already, Drake was preparing his next move, because even more people would be talking about what happened next than the awards themselves. Although the victories were momentous, the MTV Awards were transformed from a celebration into a cultural earthquake by what transpired backstage and the shots Kendrick inserted into his statements. The mood in the arena had entirely changed by the time Kendrick Lamar presented his 10th award of the evening. Even in the back rows, you could sense the intensity emanating from the OVO table. The Kendrick chants. Drake managed to get some courteous applause for the cameras, but it was overpowered by Kendrick's echoes in between acts. However, there was no story taking place in front of the camera. It was taking place behind it. Chaos backstage. Later, several production TEAM insiders confirmed. Drake did, however, approach that evening, albeit offstage. Drake's nuanced reaction 1 hour after the performance. The description for Drake's one Instagram story, which featured a picture of him drinking wine in a darkened studio, said, "Crowns are heavy. Some can't carry them for long." It was plain enough to be obvious to everyone, but vague enough to avoid direct shots. Before being removed, the post was online for precisely 12 minutes. It's too late. It had already been screenshotted by fans and blogs with headlines like Drake's fires first shot after Kendrick's MTV takeover were already trending. The twist. According to several industry insiders, Drake had a new song ready to be released, but chose not to do so right away. He doesn't want to appear reactive, according to one source. Although he's hot behind the scenes, he wants to appear in control. That same evening, Kendrick left New York in a private plane, carrying all 10 prizes in one carry-on bag. The first twist of the evening, locked in here. By daybreak, the text had been leaked. Leaked a screenshot purportedly from Drake to an unidentified collaborator appeared from a verified industry contact. Now, it's war. If you're standing across from him, don't contact me for features. The screen grab became widely shared. Whether it was fake or real was up for dispute, but one thing was for sure, the vibe had changed. Trophies were no longer the only thing at stake. This had to do with who owned the crown. Additionally, it didn't appear to be Drake wearing it for the first time in more than 10 years. Kendrick may have won the title on the MTV stage, but the days that followed turned his triumph into a battle zone the next morning that rocked the sector. Kendrick's sweep was unprecedented. Every headline was the same. The MTV Awards are also dominated by Kendrick Lamar. 10 victories in a single evening. Is this the end of Drake's career? The throne of night hip-hop took a new owner. However, there was a more serious and perilous change taking place beneath the clickbait headlines. Social media fanbases are at war. The fan fight broke out right away. Kendrick spent 36 hours at the top of the global charts. Straight Drake fans attempted to promote Crown Still Drake, but before it was overtaken by Kendrick memes, it peaked at number 9. Videos of Drake looking stoic during the show were intercut with shots of Kendrick holding all 10 prizes, flooding TikTok. There were some savage videos. One widely shared video overlaid 10-0 as the final tally, comparing Kendrick's clean sweep to a boxing knockout. However, it wasn't only fans who were trolling. Some of the celebrities who were commenting were formerly solidly in Drake's favor. Celebrity flip Rihanna, who has long been the object of Drake's public adoration, liked a post honoring Kendrick's victories with the following message: "When genuine skill and nothing can stop it, when the timing is right." 2 hours later, she unfollowed Drake. Then, during a backstage interview at another event, J. Cole, who had been thought to be attempting to maintain his neutrality, broke his silence. In a single evening, that's not the same. That is legacy material. The message was unmistakable. Jay-Z even retweeted a picture of Kendrick clutching all of his accolades with the word earned. The industry was on Kendrick's side. The greatest surprise, however, came from within Drake's own inner circle, the ally who left. Shabib Noah, 40. Drake's long-standing and mysterious tweet was issued by the producer and right-hand man. Truth is always revealed by the music. You can hear it if you pay enough attention. Fans discovered that he had unfollowed Drake on Instagram a few hours later. There was a flurry of gossip. According to some, the OVO camp disagreed about how to respond to Kendrick's sweep. According to others, 40 had been experiencing months of undervaluation and burnout. For whatever reason, it was the first time in Drake's career that one of his key supporters officially distanced themselves. Otherwise, the MTV personnel leaked the blogs were struck by a leaked email from an MTV employee. Fans couldn't believe the email that was purportedly sent during show preparation. "Push Kendrick's wins across all socials, ASAP. This is the moment we've been building toward." Was a Kendrick coronation being planned by MTV? Theories flew at the conspiracy. Was Drake manipulated? Did business executives ultimately determine that a fresh hip-hop face was needed? Did the recent leaks of Drake's covert power moves have anything to do with this? Drake remained silent while Kendrick made a silent checkmate. Kendrick just uploaded one image to his Instagram. "Heavy as the head" is the description for a close-up of all 10 trophies arranged on a table. No names or hashtags. Simply put, it serves as a timely reminder of who was responsible. In less than 12 hours, the post already has 5 million likes. The video from the studio. A 12-second footage from a private studio session was then posted online, and it was shaky. Drake is seen pacing in a poorly lit recording area in the footage. Speaking to an unidentified producer, "You believe that 10 trophies alter my identity?" "No. However, they may alter their perspective on me, and I can't overlook that bit." He was obviously fired up, but the video made me wonder even more. Did Drake have a diss reaction in the works already? Was he preparing anything just for Kendrick? Or for the business at large? The voice that came out of nowhere. Kanye West into the fray. In front of reporters at a Paris fashion event, Kanye made an unexpected appearance and said, "Kendrick, getting those Grammys. That's not just music. To us, that's a shift." Given Drake and Kanye's tumultuous past, Fans interpreted this as a clear endorsement of Kendrick and another nail in the coffin of celebrities picking sides. The battle wasn't limited to the internet. Celebrities were lining up behind their picks. Cardi B shared an Instagram story featuring Kendrick's MTV photo with the caption, "Respect the craft." Future liked a post disparaging Drake, which led fans to speculate about potential tension between the two. DJ Khaled, one of Drake's most vocal supporters, posted a nebulous story that said, "God's plan is always bigger, but notably omitted. Drake by name." Even famous athletes got involved. "Greatness is undeniable," LeBron James wrote after he uploaded Kendrick's award photo. Fans instantly flooded Drake's comment section with basketball emojis, hinting at a passing of the ball. Media fuel the fire. Hip-hop media outlets weren't helping the situation, they were feeding it. The Breakfast Club spent an entire segment debating if Drake's crown had officially been passed. Complex dropped a think piece titled "From Top Boy 2T Toppled: How Drake Lost the MTV Stage to Kendrick Lamar." Hot 97's Ebro Darden flat out said on air, "This was more compared to prizes. The dethroning was this. Drake must take it back if he wants it back." And then TMZ got involved. TMZ's backstage drama bombshell. TMZ dropped a report claiming multiple sources saw Drake storm out of the MTV afterparty early. Allegedly, he was overheard telling his team, "They fooled me, and I won't forget it." Drake's devoted fanbase wasn't going down quietly, according to the same story, which also claimed that Drake's crew had already started securing high-profile features for an urgent project, a not-so-subtle hint at a swift musical counterattack. OVO supporters retaliated. OVO-friendly influencers and podcasters began spreading counter-narratives. Drake has been chilling. He only won because MTV wanted a new headline. Award shows don't define the culture. Drake still controls the charts. One well-known podcaster even asserted that Drake's decision to downplay this award season was due to his desire to save ammunition for the real battle. And Kendrick's team made a well-thought-out move just as the commotion peaked. A 7-second black-and-white video from Pilgong's official Instagram showed Kendrick sitting by himself in a dimly lit room with a notebook open, a lone trophy on the table, and the faint sound of a beat playing in the background. The caption said, "Chapter 2. The fans went crazy. He's not done. Drizzy better watch out." Chapter 2 equals diss track part 2. Was this a new song directed against Drake? Was Kendrick getting ready to step up and finish the job? The comment section exploded. By the end of the week, the stage was set. It was no longer just about 10 trophies. It was about pride, legacy, and control of the hip-hop narrative. Drake was obviously reorganizing, and Kendrick was positioning the industry to hold its breath because everyone knew that the next move would determine whether this was just an MTV headline or the official start of a rap war for the throne. However, just when it seemed like the dust might settle, a late-night leak appeared online. And it did more than just reopen the wound between Kendrick and Drake. The file, a grainy, low-quality audio clip of what sounded like an unreleased Kendrick Lamar verse, started circulating in industry insiders' private group chats at 2:14 a.m., and by 3 a.m. it was trending on Twitter under the cryptic hashtag #CrownFiles. The lyrics were clearly directed at Drake, and the leak began mid-bar. Kendrick's voice was cold and calculated, and they gave you gold for streams. Insider confirmation, an anonymous source later confirmed by several industry blogs to be a session engineer, told Rap Radar, "You don't understand. I earned mine from the people. You sold the dream so long, they forgot it was lethal." Hip-hop Twitter was ablaze within minutes. Some claimed it was from an upcoming PG Long project, while others swore it was recorded during the same sessions as his previous disc. The most dangerous theory was that the MTV win was just the warm-up. And Kendrick had been sitting on a list of Drake takedown tracks. It's not even the most difficult one. He has bars hidden away, which will make the MTV sweep appear effortless. It's over if he drops them. Due to copyright disputes, the leak had already been removed from SoundCloud by morning. But the harm had already been done. The story was locked in, emotions were captured, and clips had been saved. Kendrick wasn't merely rejoicing in his victory, he was getting ready for battle. Drake's reply at midday. Drake finally spoke, but in the most Drake fashion imaginable. A mysterious story on Instagram. The description read, "This image shows his old Grammy Hall stacked on a piano. Music speaks, trophies don't." Fans immediately divided into two groups. The loading of Camp Drake. This was definitely a clue that a diss track was on the horizon. It's too late to camp. Thinking that Kendrick had already won the cultural tide. Just when things get outrageous enough, the plot thickens. A gossip blogger shared what they said was a video from the VIP area of the MTV afterparty. Drake may be seen leaning in and whispering to a well-known music executive in the footage. He said that lip readers were persuaded despite the unclear audio. This will be resolved on wax. In less than a day, the video received 11 million views. And thousands of comments urged him to drop the bomb. This week's last move from Kendrick. As usual, Kendrick was quiet until Friday evening. Baby Keem performed at the conclusion of a brief, well-sponsored event in Los Angeles. Kendrick showed up without warning, without a microphone or a speech. He simply entered the stage, stood next to Keem, held up his 10 MTV Awards, which were displayed on a huge banner, and grinned. The audience burst out. There was no need for words. The message was very obvious. Drake, it's your turn. Why isn't this over? Is already being referred to by industry observers as the most deadly cultural conflict in hip-hop since Nas versus Jay-Z. This duel isn't solely about lyrical skill like they were. It concerns cultural significance, worldwide domination, and who gets to decide what hip-hop will mean in 2025. The worst part is still to come. According to several insiders, both musicians will release new music the following month. The collision course is established whether on purpose or not. The only thing that remains to be determined is if Drake will accept the challenge and take back his title. Or will the OVO era come to an end with Kendrick's MTV sweep? This week demonstrated that a single performance, a single evening, and a single well-timed move have the capacity to permanently alter the balance of power in hip-hop. You are already aware of this if you are still reading.